Well, hey, folks, welcome to Trip on Two Wheels live stream. I think this is number 4. However, this is the first time that I have done a live stream with streaming software and a studio, so to speak. So it might look like I'm sitting here in a Harley dealership, but I'm actually not. I'm sitting in front of a green screen. Imbar says state bird. The mosquito, I don't know, North Dakota might fight you for that. I'm not sure about that. We're up to 11 people now. So, yeah, I don't know, some of you know, my business was really set back by COVID, and it's coming back a bit now that COVID isn't quite as bad, and I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that it doesn't get bad again. But anyhow, I've been able to throw out some coin and put together a studio. I've got lights. You can't see them. They're on the other side of this table here. I've got a new table that we're talking from. I've got a microphone here on a boom with a shock absorber that's kind of cool, and it's pretty good quality. If you guys would rate the quality of the sound 1 to 10, what do we got going here today? Type in a rating from 1 to 10. How does it sound, and how am I coming through? Don't be shy. Someone type a letter or a number 1 to 10. What do we got? Well, we'll wait on that and I'll see that. So anyway, I've got this new microphone. I've got a green screen behind me. That's actually a photo of a couple of Harleys. I'm going to show you a little trick here just for fun. We're going to go to green screen and bam, look, I'm outside the dealership now. Bam, I'm across the street from the dealership. Maybe it's out in the middle of the desert. And hey, I'm in the parking lot of the dealership beneath their sign. What the heck do you know? And then bang, I'm back in my office in front of the green curtain. How about that? The high-tech magic. High-tech magic. I kind of like being in the dealership. The air conditioning is a little bit better in there. And hey, if you hear sort of a noise in the background kick up, that would be the AC coming on in the office here. I did turn it up a little bit, the thermostat, so it wouldn't be so noisy. But anyhow, that's kind of the tour of the, we got 9s and 10s and an 8. Kenneth says 10. Trey says 10. So, yeah, this is the magic of everything. I'm going to take this down here. How do I get rid of that comment? So I'm just learning this stuff here. Boom. So if any of you guys are ever looking to do a live stream, the equipment that I picked out, I did a lot of research on, and I got a Rode microphone boom arm. The microphone itself is a Nano Yeti Blue or a Blue Yeti, one of the two. The lights I got, I don't remember. I think they're E-Mark, but I got a set of 3 of them. They're nice ones for about $190. And then my camera is the Logitech StreamCam. And it's basically just for streaming, and then I'm running everything through a laptop. And then the headphones I've got here really aren't since you guys aren't mic'd in, but it just cuts down on feedback. And if my phone goes off, it'll go off in here. These are actually Logitech G953s or 55, something like that. So surprisingly affordable, believe it or not. So anyhow, a lot has been going on this week. You know, Sturgis started up in South Dakota. The Olympics have been on. There's a bit of news out in the motorcycling world. And the first thing I want to throw out is a question to you guys. Who in the room has ever been to Sturgis? Raise your hand there by making a comment. I have never been. I've wanted to go for some time now, particularly since I've owned Harleys. But it's quite pricey from what I understand. The admission, I'm not exactly sure what that is. And if any of you guys have comments, please throw them up there. I know hotels are just crazy. And I don't know that I would want to camp for 10 days straight. If I was up there for a few days, it might be okay, but don't think I'd want to do that for 10 days straight. But I hope to get up there in the next couple of years, as we've got some new comments here. John Macri says he avoids the crowd. Hand raised. You've been to Sturgis, so there's at least 2 of us that have been. I don't know that I'll be going in the near future, but maybe in a couple of years. I think it'd be a lot of fun to get up there once and check it out. But there's a lot of motovloggers are up there now, and I think this year they were anticipating a record attendance, which was something like over 500,000 people or something like that. If anybody knows the exact number of the record, just type it in the comments there. But somebody once told me it was 500,000. I said, no, it can't be that many. You know, it's just that little town could never hold that many. And I looked it up, and sure enough, it was like 500,000. That just absolutely blew me away. So tons of our brothers and sisters are up in Sturgis this week and next. Sounds like they're having a great time. I've watched some of the live streams. Looks pretty good. If any of you have any Sturgis experiences or anything, or you want to put in the comment section, please do. The other thing that's been going on is the Olympics, and I don't know about you guys, but you know, I really love watching the Olympics, and I think a lot of it was when I was a kid, just, you know, being so patriotic. I always wanted to see the U.S. Do well and basically kick the snot out of the Soviet Union and East Germany and China. So, you know, not as much hatred anymore for Russia, although I can't really say I'm totally enamored with Russia by any means. But I still really love rooting for the U.S. and I really get off to the Olympics. So that's been an awful lot of fun for me. So Harley has been in the news, and this is something that's been going on for quite some time. So Harley, you know, over the years has gotten into, well, let's just put it this way. They're in a unique position. They're kind of between a rock and a hard place right now. And as you know, most people, or I shouldn't say most people, but a lot of people that ride Harleys are kind of the old school folks, considered to be the biker crowd or the biker wannabe crowd. And, you know, Harley kind of has this mentality, this brand, this image, and they've spent a lot of money building that over the years. And their brand is probably more valuable than the motorcycles they sell and the profit they make in a number of years. And a lot of their profit comes from, you know, financing and from motor clothes and licensing and stuff. So they really have this brand and this tough guy image they have to, you know, protect. And they've tried to steer away from that a little bit here in the past. They did so with the V-Rod. They did so with the Street Series. And the V-Rod was, in my opinion, one hell of a motorcycle. And it just kind of fell apart. Thank you, John. I appreciate the blessing. John says, God bless you for my sneeze. You know, the V-Rod failed, and you know, no matter how great the bike is, if it doesn't sell, you can't just keep making them or keep parts and inventory around and spending money on that. But I think what's happened is they're trying to cater to a newer crowd, a younger crowd, one that doesn't have the quintessential Harley mentality, so to speak. And, you know, where the Harley image came from, first it started from the guys that came back from World War II. And Harley made like 300,000 or 400,000 motorcycles for the war effort. And a lot of these veterans came back. And, you know, we talk about PTSD now, but that was, people were shell shocked back then, World War I, World War II, where they'd seen all that death and everything. And, you know, all the shells going off and in constant fear of getting killed and whatnot. And I don't care how brave you are. It doesn't mean you're not afraid. And so they came back to the States, and a lot of these guys had what we didn't know is PTSD back then. They just wanted to be by themselves. They wanted to get away from people, and they were used to riding motorcycles. And so the biker kind of, you know, mentality and the word, you know, the whole biker aura was kind of born with these war vets coming back. And then again with Vietnam, you know, we really didn't give Vietnam vets much respect back then. They get and well-deserved a lot of respect now, but we didn't give it to them back in the 60s and 70s. And so that biker culture, they came back and they kind of just wanted to not rebel maybe against society, but they just wanted to get away from it. And they did, and motorcycles were a big part of that. And Harley was a huge part of that. And so you got this biker mentality, you know, and the Harley brand, and a lot of these bikers being old. Well, the mainstay of their franchise is going away. I mean, they're getting to be 65, 70, 75 years old, and you either shell out $40,000 for a trike because you can't operate an 850 pound bagger, or you're out of it. And Harley really needs to go after, to keep that company going. They need to put out products that are going to attract new people that weren't in World War II, that weren't in Vietnam, that don't have PTSD, that aren't your traditional bikers, that however you want to define it. And I don't mean to say that a bunch of Harley guys have PTSD, but some of them do. Veterans do. I mean, that's widely known. But anyway, Harley needs to come and go after a new generation of bikers. And so the big news is obviously the Super S that's come out. And I think that this is a huge investment for Harley. And this is something that's really, it's got to work for them. I think, the company's been up against some issues, declining volume and problems, and Indian chasing them, and other motorcycles improving in quality and getting better. And, Gold Wings are always, taking a little bit of their volume away, but they've got to do some stuff. And I got to say, I'm proud of Harley for starting to do what they're doing. And in the first foray into doing new stuff was the street. It didn't work so well. The live wire, it didn't work so well. And I think it's probably because they might have marketed it wrong. I think they were smart to put it under its separate brand with live wire. But now you've got out the new Sportster. And from everything I've heard and read about the Sportster, that bike is the real deal. And no, it's not going to have the quote unquote soul of your air-cooled bagger. But I think it's going to be an amazing bike. And from the words that I've heard and the videos I've watched and everything, I think that bike is going to be the real deal. I think the Pan America is too. Time will tell. It's going to take a couple of months to see how sales on that do. But I'll tell you, it brings up a question. And if you guys have any comments on them, please make a comment. The question now comes, what's Harley going to do with the 883 and the 1200? Now, the new Sportster S is priced at $14,999. It's $15,000. Now, it does come with cruise control. It does come with ABS standard. My God, it's 120 horsepower versus I think the 883 is, maybe 50 if it's lucky. Maybe a little bit more than that, 55 maybe. It's got awesome torque. It's got 94 foot-pounds of torque. It's got a lot of electronics in it, the TFT display, etc. And supposedly it's an amazing bike. But what the 883 gives Harley is an entry-level bike that's only, I think that's priced around $8,500. So, you're looking at a bike that's at least $6,000 or $6,500 more. And I don't care how good the Sportster S is. Some people don't have $15,000 for a new bike. I don't have $15,000 for a new bike. So, $8,500. Now you can argue whether or not you should buy a Sportster 883 for whatever reason, but the fact remains it's a great entry-level bike. It's a smaller bike for shorter riders. It's a lighter bike for some female riders, although there are plenty of female riders that handle a bagger just fine. So the question comes up, what are they going to do with the 883? I don't know that they can afford to get rid of that. Now, the 1200 and the 48, they may end up going away. They're kind of a bastard size between the 883 and the new Sportster S. But there's got to be an entry-level Harley. And I don't know how they can get rid of the Sportster Iron 883 or maybe the 1200. I think they'll probably keep those around. The thing that I don't understand, I don't have a complete handle on, I've heard different things on them, is the environmental laws. Now, I've heard that some regulation over in Europe, EC or EU6 or something, over in Europe is preventing them from selling the 883 now. So I know that's got to be a hit. I'm sure they probably sell more in America than they do anywhere else or in the U.S., but that still hurts them. It hurts their economies of scale in manufacturing if you're not selling to Europe, and I'm sure other parts of the world are doing the same thing. So is California going to, with their emissions restrictions, going to do away with the 883? So, there's going to be pressure on that model to go away sooner or later. So that then begs the question, do you take that new 1250 Revolution engine and maybe make a 750 out of it, or make an 883 or what have you to replace it, and not put the ABS and not put the cruise control and not put a TFT on it to get the price down? So Harley has been pretty tight-lipped on all that. And we really don't know what's going on. I certainly haven't heard. If you guys have heard anything, please put it in the comments. Nicholas, welcome, my friend. You say, even with the new Sportster S, guys will still want an entry-level Harley. Totally agree. That's my main concern. If they do away with that bike, they're going to cut their nose off to spite their face. At the end of the day, guys want Harleys. Very true. Certainly, you can go out and get a used one, but again, there's something about buying a new bike. Used bikes are hard to come by, or harder to come by right now during COVID, etc. So total agreement with you there, Nicholas. So question for y'all, have any one of you test ridden or seen the Pan America or seen a Sportster S in person? I haven't been down to my dealership for probably a couple of weeks, and I couldn't tell you whether or not the Sportster S is rolling into the dealerships or not. I have seen the Pan America. I haven't test ridden one yet. I would like to in the near future. I would also like to ride a sports. I'm actually probably more interested in test riding the Sportster S than I am the Pan America. So I'm not really sure when those are going to be coming to a theater near me, but I'm looking forward to seeing both of them. Carl says they have to make these bikes in the USA. Well, they are. A lot of people call Harley, made in the USA. There's a lot of Harley, fanboys who don't realize that Harley has 4 or 5 factories. I think 4 of them are out of the country. I think there's one in Brazil, there's one in Thailand, there's one in India, and I forget where the other one is, but they've been making Harleys out of the country for a long time. However, they do not sell foreign-made Harleys in the U.S. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think that all of the Harleys that are sold in Mexico, the U.S., and in Canada are all made in the U.S. I know at least that's true for the U.S. Harley does not sell foreign-made bikes in the U.S. And that kind of brings up an interesting issue because Harley has so many foreign-made parts in it, and they always have. And there's some things, America does a lot of good things, and I'm very pro-American, America first, but where do Brembo brakes come from? You think of these top-of-the-line components that are in MotoGP or Olin shock absorbers. I don't know that they come from the U.S. It wouldn't surprise me if they're not, but Brembos aren't. And there's a lot of foreign components that are race-tested, race-proven, that aren't U.S. made, that have been in Harleys for a long time. And the Sportster S, I know that's a lot of foreign parts, and Harley's been buying foreign parts for years. You just have to. It's a global economy. It's a global world. Anyhow, that's the big question for me on the Sportster. Is the 883, is the 1200 going to stick around? I think the 1200 may be in danger. The 883, eventually, the air-cooled engine and the emissions, that's going to be in danger. So are they going to make a smaller version of the Revolution engine? Now, the next question that you logically gotta ask yourself is, what's going to happen to the bagger motors? What's going to happen to the Milwaukee 8? It wouldn't surprise me if they take that 1250 motor, which is a screaming screaming engine and put it into one model of a bagger and kind of bring back the old Evo, or not the old Evo, but bring back the old V-Rod, so to speak. They'll name it something different, I'm sure, and what have you, but it'll have probably the 1250T engine in it, the Revolution. I think, and I know other people have said this. I know that Dan of Gears and Gadgets has mentioned this, and I've believed this for a long time. I think they'll probably throw that out there into the lineup and see how it goes. I think Harley's going to be making water-cooled bikes for quite a while, but I think we're going to see the Revolution engine, assuming it's successful in the Pan America and assuming it's successful in the Sportster S. We're going to see it be launched into the other lines of products. So that will yet to be determined. Anybody have any comments on Harley? Do you think Harley 6? I don't know what that means. Nicholas, see if you can tell me what you mean there. Do you think Harley 6? Is that a 6-cylinder? I don't know. Kenneth says, here, I like that. Baggers are dominating on my tiny island of Oahu. Well, we're gonna see soon enough. I think if the Pan American and the Sportster S do real well, I think you're going to see that sooner than later. And obviously, they'll be shipping those around the world pretty soon. I think that time's coming quickly. I'll tell you something that I don't think is coming quickly, and I think it's electric motorcycles. I think that electric bicycles are going to continue to do amazingly well. I think electric scooters and maybe small motorcycles, maybe something that would take the place of a 125 or a 250 or et cetera. But I've given this a lot of thought, and as far as the larger motorcycles go, a live wire is an amazing machine, and it performs incredibly. I mean, it's got torque out the wazoo, 0 to 60 in like -3 seconds. Hey, Jamon, welcome, buddy. Good to see you. Hey, Dan. Well, dang it, I lost my place. Where was I? Somebody with the electrics. Yeah, I think that electric's got a really big future. A really big future in replacing bicycles and standard pedal bicycles, which it's doing, and smaller motorcycles. But there's one thing that electric doesn't give you. It doesn't give you soul. I mean, it doesn't give you the rumble and feel of a Moto Guzzi. If you guys know what one of those sounds like, that's one of the most unique sounding motorcycles in the world. It doesn't give you the sound of a Triumph. And it certainly doesn't give you the sound of an American cruiser like a Harley or an Indian. It just doesn't. It doesn't give you that shake. It doesn't give you the same riding experience. I mean, talk all you want about recharging and whatnot. And, we all say, oh, we want this range and stuff. How many of you really go out and ride your motorcycle more than 150 miles at a pop? There's a lot of you that do, but there's a lot that don't, and they could buy electric. Okay, but I just don't see people going to electric in a mass way for larger motorcycles for many reasons. I think wrenching, people like to wrench, people like getting oil on their hands, people like the feel of the motorcycle. With an electric bike, nothing wears out. So fewer moving parts, which is a convenience to a lot of people, and some people are going to like that. But I just think there's always going to be a place for the V-twin and gasoline powered motorcycles. I don't see the electric market taking over on that. And I think they do have a place. I do think there's a certain percentage of motorcycle buyers that are going to want those. But I think Harley approached it a little bit wrong. I think it was kind of the end all be all, and they put this out there and they threw it against the wall and it didn't stick. Maybe once it got popular, then bring it into the Harley name. But I think it kind of fell flat on its face. And at least under the Harley brand, it was probably a little bit ahead of its time. So maybe if they would have brought it out after the Pan America and after the Sportster S, assuming they're successful, that there could have been a place for it. But we'll just have to see. Kenneth says he agrees with John. Nicholas says, let's see what Nicholas has to say here. Motorcyclists are very conservative when a new bike and engine comes in. That is absolutely right. In fact, when the Knucklehead came out in 36, Harley-Davidson didn't think it would succeed. Well, I think that that motor was around a good number of years and was successful. So obviously they were surprised. I'm certainly no Knucklehead expert, but you raise a very good point there, Nicholas. Mark says, if people were going to go electric, the Livewire wouldn't be discounted 10 grand after 1 year. I think, yeah, if they weren't going to go electric instead of a bagger or a cruiser, they're already going electric in smaller motorcycles. I mean, electric scooters are starting to take off. And, I was looking at bicycles, electric bicycles the other day, and I don't know that I would buy one. I might, but, for about $2,000, you can get a bicycle that's now got a 45-mile range, and it'll do almost 30 miles an hour. So, for bikes, I think that's perfect. You can go out and you can get some exercise, and when you get tired, switch it over to electric, and you got your wind back, switch it over to pedal, etc. But again, I just don't see electrics killing baggers and the American Hog and Triumphs and Moto Guzzi's and so many bikes for a long, long time. I really don't see that happening. I don't see how it could be. Now, I didn't know that the Livewire was discounted 10 grand. If it is, that makes it a very good buy. It was about 30 grand. And if you look at Zero and you take their top of the line, people say, oh, it's like 6,000 cheaper. But, the Harley had much better performance. It had a much quicker charging capability, et cetera. If you take that Zero motorcycle, their top of the line, and you buy that additional faster charging battery and setup and everything, I think that added 4 or 5 grand to it. And it got up to about the price of the Livewire. So for what you were getting, it wasn't that bad when compared to other electric motorcycles. In the grand scheme of things, I think it was way overpriced for what it is, for what it was. So we will find out about that. John says, loud pipe saves lives is true. Can't imagine a quiet bike. I'm not going to agree with you or disagree with you. There's as much research out there to say that loud pipes don't do a thing. And then there's a lot of people. I mean, you would think common sense would tell you that a loud bike, you can hear it coming. The problem is most of those bikes are behind the cars. The sound's going the other way. You don't hear them until they get up to you. And today's newer cars get more soundproof with every passing day. So, certainly I would think better to be loud than not. But how much it contributes, I'm not really sure. I certainly don't think it hurts the equation, but I don't know that it's a huge factor anymore. But then again, I really don't know. There's opinions on both sides, and I give them both credit. Nicholas once again says, have you talked about the Electric Glide revival? No, we haven't talked about that tonight. I'll tell you, it's a nice looking bike. I have seen them in the showrooms. I think the blue and white model, and it's I think it's the revival of the 1965 or 1966. If you know which one it is, please type it in there. But the Electra Glide, do any of you know why the Electra Glide is called the Electra Glide? Okay, there's I think 2 reasons for that. There's a first one, which happened back in the 60s, and another one which happened in the early 2000s or the late 90s. It was the very first bike to ever have electric start on it, the very first Harley. And I think that was in 1966 or 67. Carl, you got it right, my man. Very good. Nicholas, I know it was definitely 66 or 67. I don't know which year, but you're quite close. So let's go back to this. So electric start was the first thing. What was the second electronic or electric feature that the Electra Glide had? John Macri is saying 69. Okay. Now, is the Electra Glide the revival of the 69? But I'm almost positive that the electric start came out before 69. It might not have. And if you guys could be right, but I was almost positive it was a couple years earlier than that. But does anybody there know what the second new technology that was electric that the Electra Glide got about 20, 25 years ago? And I don't know what year that was. Who knows what that is? I'm not getting any answers, so I'll tell you. It was electronic fuel injection. So, surprise, surprise. Two reasons to call that. Jaman says urine signals. Was that turn signals and you typed it wrong? I think that may be what you wanted to say. Try that again, Jaman. Jaman has been a follower here of the channel for a long time, and it's always great to have him come to visit or being a live streamer and a premiere. Jaman says, yes, I did not realize that bike was the first Harley to have turn signals, but I'll certainly take your word for it. So enough about Harley for the time being. 69 is the revival. Okay, good job. That I totally am in bed with. I've seen that bike. I never really liked the look of it. It's just got the one passenger. There's an old commercial that I actually brought back and put on the channel here a number of years ago. I think it might have been the AMF Harley-Davidson. But the guy pulls up to his girlfriend's house or his wife's house, and she hops on the back, but it's not really the back. It's a single seat, and he's practically straddling the gas tank. He's scooched all the way forward, and she is on that seat. So they're really crowded, and it's just the commercial is just hilarious. And a couple people commented they look ridiculous, the two of them on this bike. But, I like things that are retro and vintage and heritage. My favorite Softail is the Heritage Classic, even though I own a Deluxe. But I like the Heritage look. I like the looks of it being a retro, but back in the day, I didn't care for that particular bike. I don't know. It's just me, and I hope that bike does well. I hope everything that Harley does well, because I want Harley to stick around. I'm not by any means a Harley fanboy. I haven't drunk the Kool-Aid. I do own 3 Harleys, but it's not because I believe there's no other bikes better or whatever. I just got good deals on them, and I like the bikes I have. So enough about Harley for a moment. I want to switch over to maybe an off the wall brand, at least off the wall to some of you folks. Yeah, for the lady, okay, I'm not gonna. Yeah, interesting, Kenneth. Good comment. I guess we'll talk about Harley a little bit more here. After all, I am in a showroom, right? Do you think the Sportster S is overpriced, Trip? That's the question from Mark. I'm going to say no, I don't think it is. It's priced at $14,999. And if you look at the comparable Indian, and I've got some stats here. I wrote down a whole bunch of stats comparing a bunch of bikes the other day. I'm thinking about doing a video just on the Sportster S and kind of comparing it. But the Indian, what is it? The FTR S is actually priced the same amount, and they're very comparable, except that the Harley, I think, is a better looking bike. And I think the Harley, I know it has more horsepower and more torque, just a couple. I think Harley wanted to make it just a little bit better. But I don't think that bike is overpriced. I got to be real honest with you. I think the 883 and the 1200 are overpriced. I mean, I can go out and buy a brand new Kawasaki Vulcan S, and granted, it's not a Harley, doesn't have soul, doesn't have a lot of things, if you're a big Harley fan. But I'll tell you this, a Kawasaki Vulcan S will kick the ass of an 883 in every way, every day, all day long, you name it. Cheaper, better mileage, faster, more nimble, just, so, what overpriced is an odd term because it varies for everybody. If an 883 is worth $8,500, $8,600 to you, then no, it's not overpriced. I would never pay that much money for an 883. Would I pay $14,999 for a Sportster S? I might. I think it's a much better value when you consider everything it's got. Now, I would compare that bike. There's a lot out there. There's the Indian, which it's going to compete directly with. But the bikes that I would compare that bike to might be a Triumph, a Bonneville 1200, which doesn't have the same horsepower. But it would be a bike that you ride and for similar reasons. I might also compare that bike to the Kawasaki, what is it, the 900 RS or the RS 900Z, something like that. That bike is a good $5,000 more than it. But if you're looking to stay in that family or that aura of bike, I don't think that it's overpriced at all. And the fact that you get that TFT, which is, wow, it's got a fuel gauge too. How about that? It's got the advanced riding system on it. It's got a really good suspension on it. It's got really good brakes on it. I do wish that bike had a dual disc up front, which it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't need it, but that would always be nice. It's got ABS standard. I think it's a great bike. My fear on that bike, if you look at it and you look at the seat, you go, my God, look how thin that seat is. How comfortable is that bike going to be? I can't see riding that bike a long ways. When I go out and ride, I don't go out and ride for 5 or 10 miles. If I'm going to go ride, I'm looking at 75 miles minimum. And usually I'm going to ride 100 to 150 miles when I go out for a ride. That's just the way it shakes out. And I don't know that I could do that on a Sportster S. You wouldn't get the gas mileage. It's got I think it's a 3.3. Let's see what the tank is here. The tank is 3.1 gallons, and you get 49 miles to the gallon. So you're looking at about, a shade. You're looking at right around 150 miles a gallon. Of course, the warning light's going to come on after 3 miles, but and that's going to bug the hell out of you. But I just don't know how the comfort on that bike is going to be. I just don't know. Plus, that bike is a 2-inch higher seat height than what you've got on the 883 and the 1200. So you're giving up that seat height for shorter folks. But I'll tell you what's amazing about that, about the new Sportster S, is the weight. It only weighs 498 pounds wet. That means when it's got the oil and gas in it. That bike is a light bike, and it's really no bigger. It's got a similar rake and trail. It really, it ought to handle very, very well. It's got a better lean angle, right and left, than the other ones do. And it's so light. That bike is lighter than the 883. Believe it or not, it is lighter than the 883. So, I just don't know about the comfort of it. So, Jamon makes a real good comment here. He says you'd have to get a Saddleman. Well, I don't even know if Saddleman makes those seats yet. Were they in cahoots with Harley before it came out? For sure that they're going to be making one real quick. But I think you'd have to put a new seat on that bike. I don't want to say for sure. Like I say, I haven't ridden one. I want to ride one as soon as I can. And that day hopefully will come soon. But I think that would be my only concern. I know that bike comes standard with foot forward, and you've got to pay like, I don't know, $700-900 to get mid controls. But we'll see. Anyway, I hope that bike is an amazing success. I really am rooting for Harley. Kenneth says, yeah, that's really light. Totally agree with him there. We've got another comment here. Mark J. Cox, you don't think Harley-Davidson can use an aluminum frame for a $15,000 bike like the Sportster S? You don't think Harley-Davidson could use an aluminum frame? You know, I don't know. I don't know what their costs are. Who are you comparing it to? Are you comparing it to a bike that's built in Thailand that has 1/3 the labor, 1/4 the labor? I can't answer that. These bikes are built in the U.S. So if you're going to put even more technology in it, the price is going to go up. So there's got to be, if you want an American-made bike that's made by American workers, we have a higher standard of living in the U.S. You have to pay more for the bike, period. Okay. Now, if you want to pay less for it, you've got to take stuff away from the bike. And so I really don't need know the answer to that. I don't know. Okay, here. Samuel makes a good comment. I am 6.4 feet or 6 feet 4 inches? Am I too big for the Kawasaki Vulcan S? I'm going to give you a qualified yes, you are. I would recommend that bike for people up to about 6'2". The Ergo Fit system, you can be anywhere from 5'2" and 6'2" and fit on a Vulcan S. They've got 3 different seats. They've got 3 different foot peg positions, and they've got 2 different sets of handlebars, and you can comfortably fit on that bike for that range. But I think 6'4", I have heard of people 6'4" riding that bike. If you're tall from the waist up and shorter from the waist down, maybe you've ridden some bikes that you just don't fit on well, and it might fit you a little bit better. But would it fit you ideally? I don't know. I wouldn't risk it if I was that tall. I wouldn't. Okay, Mark here says, I love the look of the Moto Guzzi, and now that you talk about its sound, I have to look at them. I'll tell you, Mark, it's a very unique sounding bike. The engine is mounted funky. My only negative on the Moto Guzzi is there's not a lot of dealerships. If you buy one and have a problem with it, you probably got to go to the next state to get it worked on. But they're great bikes. I have a lot of respect for Moto Guzzi, and I just think they're very cool bikes. Hey, let me know what you think about the Guzzis when you check them out. Okay, John McCree, I was on a 2016 Deluxe, and it felt like a toy. Seat was too forward, but it is gorgeous. Well, I happen to know a little bit about those. I own a 2015 Deluxe, which I think was exactly the same as the 16, except the engine. They went to the 103 high output, I believe, in 2016. I like lighter bikes. Now, if you're coming from a much bigger bagger, yeah, it might feel like a toy. I love the way my Deluxe handles. I think with the accessories I have on it, it's probably 780 pounds. Doesn't feel like a toy to me at all, but I guess it really depends on what you were riding. Her Two Wheels said the mids would be better on what is that? I guess the Sportster S. Well, I tell you, I know Her Two Wheels. I've met her. I've got a funny interview I did with her. I met her up at MotoFest. And I got to tell you, what a nice person she is. I really got a kick out of meeting her. Warm, genuine. She's not fake at all. She's the real deal. I really respect her, and just had a wonderful time talking with her. And I think I don't know how learned she was about bikes when she first started the channel. I really don't know. But I can tell you in the last couple of years, she's learned a lot. And I would certainly give weight to what she says. However, I would tell you it totally depends on what you're used to, your preferred riding position, and how tall you are is really going to determine what you prefer, a foot forward or a mid. I've ridden both. I like foot forward. I'm 5'11", and I prefer foot forward. But it really depends on the individual right now. Okay, I'm going to scroll back here and see if there's any other questions that I missed. Okay, I don't think I did. We're going to come on down here. There was a couple that I wanted to answer here. Fair enough. Good answer, Trip. All right. Thanks, Mark. Nicholas, you've been an active dude here tonight, and I really appreciate it. Okay, what brand today do you think deserves more recognition? Well, I'm going to answer. I'm going to give you two answers, and one really doesn't fit with this conversation for me. But the first one I'm going to tell you is KTM. Most people don't know anything about them, but if you're into dirt bikes or into motocross and a few of the others, KTM is probably one of the highest quality bikes out there. It's made in Austria. It's an amazing bike. I had a friend, God bless him, he passed away a year and a half, 2 years ago. Really good guy. He rode KTM. I loved his bike. He loved it. KTM has a very solid reputation. The people that subscribe to my channel probably don't know much about KTM, but I'll tell you this: it's an amazing name. And if they ever go into the other lines of bikes, give them time. Those folks are going to do it right. But KTM, you just can't beat the quality and performance of a KTM. The other brand that I think is coming on strong is Royal Enfield. Okay. And you can say, their bikes are a bunch of crap. And I would say you're right up until a couple of years ago. Those bikes used to be crap. And let's take a look at them. Well, they're made in India and they're made for Indians. At least they were. And the way Indians, a lot of Indians look at motorcycles over in India is they're consumable. They ride them 3 or 4 years and they got to get rid of them. Why? The roads over there are so horrible. Okay. And I don't really think they built those bikes to last, or at least it didn't look like it. If you looked at the welds and the fit and finish on Royal Enfields that are older than 5 or 6 years, you'd go, oh my God, what am I doing? There's a reason they're priced half as much as a comparable Japanese bike. But I tell you, in the last 3 or 4 years, that company has made amazing progress. They came out with the Himalayan, which was much improved, still had faults. They was adding technology, but still the poor quality build, in my opinion only. I'm just saying that as my opinion because I believe it. Doesn't mean it's so. Go out and figure it out for yourself if you really not want to know about Royal Enfield. But the president of Royal Enfield came from Triumph. And, Triumph has been reborn a number of years ago, came on, and their quality has improved. Very good bikes. Triumph, I really like that brand. But Royal Enfield is benefiting now from improved technology, improved manufacturing, and their new parallel twin, their 650 lineup is just great. The fit and finishes is improving. The performance is improving. I went on their Facebook group a couple of years ago. They had like 10,000 members in their Facebook group. They're over 160,000 now. And that in and of itself doesn't tell you a lot, but it tells me that brand is a lot more popular and their sales are just going through the roof. And they make a cafe racer. They make a 16 or 650 GT. There's a new 500 that just came out. And I'll tell you this, Royal Enfield is going to give the Japanese Big Four, I think, a run for their money in the next couple of years. I'm very impressed with Royal Enfield, and they're an incredible buy. They're about half the price of a comparable Japanese brand. Okay, it says they are Italian, and my ex is Italian, and I am not wealthy enough for a Ferrari. Well, Mark, I'm going to tell you this. If you're talking about Moto Guzzi, you can find used Moto Guzzis in great condition for cheap. The V7, the V9, I think this is the V7 Stone, the V9, and the Moto Guzzi America. That's their cruiser entry. I think it's 1,300 cc's. Very good bikes, and you can pick them up used pretty cheap. I would buy one of those bikes a couple of years old that's maybe still in warranty. If you could find one that had a 3-year warranty, low mileage, and buy something like that. I don't know that I would buy one of those bikes new. I might be if I got an incredible deal. But along with the Harleys, I also have a Vespa scooter, and the same people that make Moto Guzzi make the Vespa, and I'm incredibly impressed with the quality of the Vespa. Jaman says the Sportster S. Yes, I don't know what you're referring to in regards to the Sportster S. Mark says, can I ask you a question? Do full face helmets provide a false sense of security? Please understand it is a yes or a no question. In my opinion, no. I really don't think so. I think they're safer. Everyone that tests helmets will probably tell you they're safer. To some people, it may provide a false sense of security, but I wouldn't go out there and ride more reckless or more careless or faster just because I had a full-faced helmet on. Never. But the fact is, it offers more protection. I've got a Shoei right here. It covers more of your face. I like a modular helmet with the flip up front. It is full face, but structurally, it's not going to be as strong as a stationary full face. So in my opinion, I would give that as a yes. Oh, wait a minute. I would say yes, it provides more security. I don't know if it provides a false sense of security. It's only if you take advantage of that security and drive crazier or faster or do things you'd normally do. So I think that's up to the person. For me, it doesn't provide a false sense of security. I always wear a full faced. Sometimes I wear modular, but most of the time I wear full faced, and I just wear it because I want more protection. That's the only reason. I don't think it's a false sense of security. So, but again, that's just my opinion, and I hope I answered the question to your liking. Okay, Jaman here says, I have one, and I had a flat. It came off the beat. I had to ride it across the intersection. It's a 6-ply tire. Do you think I hurt the tire? Got it to bead back up and nothing on it. I really don't know. I'd have to see the tire, and I'll be the first to tell you I'm no expert mechanic or wrencher. I'm a newbie when it comes to that, to be real honest with you. I follow instructions real well. If I have a manual, I don't have super in-depth tools. I don't have a lift. So I'm really limited on what I can do, but I couldn't tell you how much air was left in it. You had to ride it across. If you just had to ride it across an intersection, I don't know, visually inspect it, put it back on, put air in it, and see how it works from there. I mean, I really can't give you a better idea than that. Okay, back to John here. He says, Trip, should clarify, I'm 6'2", 230, and ride a 2011 Fat Boy, so the Deluxe felt very small and light. Okay, perfect. I would try getting on a Vulcan S if you want to feel that you're on something small and light. Hold on here. Okay. You're telling me that if you were on a sport bike without a full face, that you would take corners like they do on the internet? No, I didn't tell you that. And I'll tell you, first off, I don't ride sport bikes, so I couldn't really comment. I wouldn't ever get on a sport bike, and I've ridden them before. I don't ride them anymore. I would never ride without a full face. Would you take corners like they do on the internet? Well, who are you talking about on the internet? I'm on the internet, and I ride pretty conservatively. I would never ride like a lot of people ride on the internet. I'm not one to answer that question, but I'll just tell you, with a full-faced helmet, I think they give you more protection. They may give some people a false sense of security. They don't give me a false sense of security. If someone is an idiot and going to ride crazy and risk their life, sometimes I don't know if it makes a difference what helmet they've got on. If you're out there riding and you're up in the odds of having a wreck, the helmet's designed to protect you after the wreck, not to prevent you from having the wreck. And if you wreck bad enough, I don't care what kind of helmet you have on, you're going to get killed. So, I think the number one safety factor is to ride responsibly and ride within the conditions, the weather, the road, and your own capabilities, and then take it from there. I don't know if that answers your question, but that's about the best I can do. I don't have to like your opinion, and you don't have to like mine, but respect says we listen to each other's opinion and respect it as their own. Totally agree with you, buddy. Totally agree. A lot of bikers and motorcyclists, whatever you want to call them, they argue about lane position. They argue about oil, Marvel mystery oil. They argue about lane splitting, about ABS, about helmets. The one thing about motorcycling is we're all brothers. when we fall off that bike, our skin all peels off the same. We're all in this together. We are in a passion that we love the feel of being on a bike, and that's what makes us a different breed. We're also, I don't care how much gear you wear, how safe you ride, what we do is more dangerous than riding in a car, and it sets us apart. It gives us commonalities, and we should, no matter what our opinions are, I think we all need to respect each other and respect different types of motorcycles and different opinions. But I know I have different opinions than others. If I'm asked about my opinion, I'll certainly answer the question, but I'm not trying to force my opinion on anybody else. And, I'm no expert. I give other people's opinions as much credibility as I give my own. But when it comes to me, what I buy, what I ride, what I do, I'm going to listen to my own opinion first, obviously. Okay. Okay. I like the way you answered my question. You are true to yourself and your word, and I respect that a lot. Well, thank you very much, Mark. I appreciate that. Like I said, we're all in this together. Opinions are like, what, we all have one, and that's cool with me. Okay. Mark says, oh, you answered my question better than Simmons and Traveling Tall did. So a big 10-4 goes out to you, my brother. Well, hey, thank you much. Well, all right. I'm going to run through a couple more things here. There's more topics I wanted to cover, but we've been at this almost an hour. Other things kind of in the news that I wanted to bring up. There's been a big brouhaha over Ruroc helmets the last few weeks on the internet, and I want to make a comment on that. Ruroc burst on the scene a couple of years ago. And before I get started, I'm not saying anything bad about Ruroc. I'm not saying anything good about Ruroc because I've never owned one. I've never even held one in my hand, so I don't know the answer. But I do know that there's a big controversy going on now. So what happened was Ruroc went to the internet and they found influencers. They even found me a couple of years ago when I had about 4,000 subscribers, maybe 3,000. I don't know. And they sent me an email that said, hey, how would you like a free helmet to test? And I had never heard of Ruroc. And I said, I ride with a high quality HJC and I ride with Shoei. And I don't plan on switching. I may someday ride with an Arai or a Schuberth or something, but I really wasn't interested, and I just told him no, I'm not interested. I might have just ignored the email. I really don't remember which I did. But what they did, they started sending out sample helmets of the Atlas 2.0 and the 3.0, and all these influencers were putting on the helmets, wearing them, saying how good they looked, this and that. And there was a young lady named Moto Tiger. She's got a channel now, and not long ago she came out with a video that just says called BS on Ruroc, and just said this stuff is just a bunch of hooey. She got her helmet and had about, I don't know, 5-10 complaints, whatever it is. Go look up her video. Her channel is Moto Tigress. It's actually a pretty good video. But I applaud her for being the one to speak up and to honestly give an honest review. And her video's gotten thousands of views now. And it kind of started this firestorm where a lot of people are coming out of the woodwork and calling BS on Ruroc quality. And they're also calling BS on their customer service. There's been several people that have said they've gone on Ruroc's Facebook site or Twitter or what have you to complain and bring up complaints, and Ruroc and those guys have just banned them from Facebook. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but I've heard it from multiple folks, so I tend to believe there may be some credibility to it. Yami Noob, a really big, he's around 1 million subs, did a really funny video within the last week or two about Ruroc. He had a meme contest, and all of these memes were just shooting Ruroc down. I mean, they were actually kind of funny. And I'll just tell you, there's a lot of controversy going on. I'll tell you this. I think Ruroc makes some damn good looking helmets. But I don't know what kind of research they've done. They might have done a lot of research on their helmets, on quality. I don't know. But I'm going to tell you this, okay? And Yami Noob probably said it better than I can, but I agree with him 100%, and that's why I bring this up. You only have one head and one brain, and if you hurt that thing, you're in trouble. Okay, I don't see any MotoGP riders wearing Ruroc. If there are, forgive me, I haven't heard of them. There's a lot of MotoGP riders and people that risk their lives every day riding with Shoei, Arai, the top names. Okay, why are they top names? Because they have done research, they've been around a long time, and they're proven quality and proven safety. Okay, Marc Marquez, who one of the foremost motorcycle racers today, what does he wear? Shoei. There's probably a reason other than I'm sure they're putting money in his pocket. But if my life depends on it, I want a helmet that is a known entity. I only have one brain. I'm not going to just go out and something I don't know. And here's what bothers me. When you go and you buy a brand of helmet that is recommended to you from a moto vlogger, and they're being bought either with money or free helmets, it's not likely that Ruroc's going to send somebody a $500 or $600 helmet, and that person is then going to give them a bad interview or a bad review. I just don't really see that happening, or at least very often. So now you're going to take the word of somebody else on this helmet instead of going down to a motorcycle dealer and trying on helmets and finding out what fits you. Your helmet fitting you properly is a huge factor in how safe it is on your head. And secondly, the research on the helmet and who else is wearing them and why, and how are they protecting people from wrecks, etc. Yami Noob made a very good statement. He said, you've got one head, you don't want to take chances. Personally, Ruroc could be the end-all be-all. I don't know. I just have a problem with buying any helmet that you can't try on first. And that's really all I'll say on that. I'm sure there's as many people that love those helmets as hate them, but I just find the controversy interesting. And I do applaud Moto Tigers for being the first person to honestly speak up and say what they thought on the negative side, no matter how controversial it was. Again, we're all brothers in the motorcycle world and industry. I hope that Ruroc, I hope that this is wrong and their helmets are great. And if they're not, I hope they get their issues straightened out really quickly and improve it. But I don't know if I myself would go and order a helmet from Ruroc, and I don't know how it would fit. I don't know about the quality yet. Maybe someday. It says Fortnite is good if you like yams. I love Fortnite. People look for more value now than ever. So perceived value is the easiest sell. That is certainly true. We have here, I paid $250 for the wives and $250 for mine at Harley. Don't know what brand actually made them, but they were good for us. Very good. All right. So off of Ruroc, we talked about electric bikes. Next question. I've got a couple of interesting things coming up. On Thursday night, we're going to be interviewing Saddle Tramp here on the channel. That'll be Thursday night, this upcoming Thursday at 7 o'clock. And I hope you guys will tune in and watch that video or watch that live stream. He's a great guy. I've known Corey for a couple of years now. He's got a great channel. He's an old school biker. He rides. He's a big fan of the older Harleys and older Evos. Good guy. He just went through a lot of drama. He had a garage, which is really cool, and it got knocked down by a tree in a hurricane, and he's building that back. And anyway, my first interview coming back is going to be him, coming back with his new garage, and that'll be this Thursday at 7. Hopefully, I'll have a card up for it in the community post section here pretty quick. But I think interviewing him is going to be a lot of fun. I also have found a program that we can play bingo online, and I think up to 30 people we can play bingo, and everyone gets a card virtually, and we can call out numbers and we can play bingo, and maybe I'll find some prizes, $500,000, $100,000, I don't know, dirty napkin, whatever. and we'll send those out as prizes. So got some good stuff coming up. If you guys have any suggestions on who I ought to bring on for interviews on future live streams, please let me know. Please put that down in the comments section. If you have any things you'd like me to talk about or cover in the next live stream, please let me know. Put those in the comment sections. I'd love to address those. Please do me a big favor and like this video and make a comment. That would really go a long way. It helps the channel, and I want to thank you all. I'm scaring 33,000 subscribers now, and I really appreciate it. And it's because of everybody like you folks who are watching now that have really supported the channel, and you don't know how much I appreciate it. If you want to raise that level of support, I've also got a Patreon page. It's patreon.com/trip-on-2-wheels, just like the YouTube channel. So let's see if we've got any more comments here before we head on out. Not really. Jamon says, cool, love Saddle Tramp. So Saddle Tramp this upcoming Thursday at 7 o'clock Central Time. I hope you'll join me then. Kenneth says, Trip and fellow riders, stay safe, speed safe. He must ask Donald Trump if he rides the bike made for him by OCC and bring on the Donald. I don't know that he would come on, but he would certainly be interesting to bring on. That's for sure. So we'll see you in a few days. I guess 5 days with Saddle Tramp. You guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening. Have a great week. And as always, do me a big, huge favor. Ride safe and ride often. And we'll see you soon.